right, check this out, guys. Bitcoin has already started to drop down by a little bit. We have started to revisit some of our lower levels in the range, but there is a potential setup on this chart that could be taking Bitcoin all the way back down to price levels like $18,000. And it's actually not that far-fetched. It actually makes a lot of sense given where Bitcoin is, and you're going to see why by the end of this YouTube video. So to the keyboard warriors, give me the engagement, that's cool, but also hold yourself for a minute. You're going to learn something really, really cool in this YouTube video. And the first thing that I want to start off with is actually going to be on these shorter term timeframes, just looking at where Bitcoin has been over this last little bit before we get to this, some of the really interesting price charts that I've got for you guys later on here. If you are excited, do me a favor and smash up those likes as we come into this video here. We can see some really clear rejection hits across this $44,000 level, and now Bitcoin trending back down. And very interestingly, we've seen Bitcoin's dominance absolutely fall off a cliff over these last few days, and that has resulted in massive upside for altcoins. You guys are going to remember that, I don't know, about 2-3 weeks ago, before all of this shit happened, I was telling you guys that we're now in a situation where more money can be made on altcoins than on Bitcoin. And of course, that turned out to be absolutely bang on correct. Those of you that watch my videos will remember that I was saying that regularly before all of this shit even happened. So we've just got a pulse on the market. We already know, and you already know the deal. I've been making money on this altcoin since way before it was cool and fashionable this month, with huge profits already made in this market, which I'm super happy about. And Bybit is also giving you a $500 free position on Solana when you sign up using my link down below. So that is super cool. You definitely have to check that out because the requirements are very easy to meet, and you get a free position where you can go long and short on Solana using that link in the description down below. So definitely do check it out. It's right here, free $500 position on Solana. Go ahead and check that out. CoinW, also, you don't even need to make a deposit. You just open a futures account using my link, check it out. You get $50 for free. You can throw that shit anywhere you like, and any profits you generate are yours to keep. So that is super, super cool. And by the way, this campaign for Bybit cost them a lot of money, so go use it. And so, you know, one thing that's really interesting, we've seen massive upside for the altcoins here, but now we have started to reach that point where things are actually starting to get a little bit, bad for this altcoin market. They've moved up massively, and we're now starting to see big retracements. Solana down by 20% within a factor of about 3 days, right at the top where I made this video. Guess what? 2 fucking days ago, right at the top, basically, and now we are seeing some really, really compelling signs for dropping down. One of the key ones is that obviously, Bitcoin has entered a shorter term downtrend right here. But another key sign to actually understand how weak this market is getting is by looking at indicators like the 4-hour EMA ribbon, because this is a display of momentum. And what we can see is that since basically, early middle December, we have stopped being able to use support from the 4-hour EMA ribbon. It's just not useful anymore. And that is a very, very clear sign that on these shorter term kind of price charts, we're not looking that healthy anymore. Now, it's not that bad if we zoom out. If we look at this on the daily time frame, we have got some really strong EMA support still with us, but at the same time, we've also tested it a lot of times. With these individual candles, we have tested our daily EMA ribbon, which is again a phenomenal display of support on a larger time frame in terms of momentum. We have now tested it a good number of times. I mean, take a look at this. We've got like 3 candles floating around here already right now. We've got 2 candles right here and 3 more back here, and this is all within the same month. I mean, this is a large percentage of December has been spent relying on this one singular area of support, and it's not a bad area of support, don't get me wrong. I mean, it lines up with some really good price areas, but we are testing it a lot, and it's also at a time where you would think that with all of the excitement, all of the bullish energy, we were looking at the Binance long and short data, for example, with everybody going long, with all of the fear and greed index and stuff like that staying very high. We've got 1.26 longs for every short right now for Binance retail traders. You would think that the price would get pushed up, but it's not happening, right? And the thing you've got to understand is that if everybody is already bullish, and if everybody is already trading the upside, and if everyone's already piled up in that direction, and the price is still not moving up, well, then that is a sign that, these longs and this bullish energy is not working, and obviously we are seeing movement in the altcoin market, and a lot of money has been made in the altcoin market, which is fantastic. But this is only, really small money that's moving out of Bitcoin into altcoins, which, by the way, is what makes this really exciting, because if this does continue, then, it would probably mean, massive upside for altcoins if Bitcoin does lose its dominance. And that's something we've spoken about before, right? Where Bitcoin could actually end up going somewhere up here and then dropping back down. And this is where you really make generational wealth. And that's what would be really exciting, because all of the big moves you've seen in the altcoin market, that was just this, and so if this uptrend were to continue now, I mean, it's goodbye to these altcoins, and that would probably happen if Bitcoin ends up taking a drop. So let's dive deeper into why this drop could end up coming. There's some really compelling analysis here. Point 3 is definitely my favorite. I'm going to get to that in just a second with you guys later on in this YouTube video. The other key thing I want to show you is that on this larger term time frame here with the VPVR, our key levels on this VPVR are going to be about over here at about 36K, which we'll talk about in just a second, at about 46, 48K. So this would be our bull case. And this is something I actually want to speak to you guys about. I want to quickly pause this bearish analysis and actually balance this video out with something that's really important to understand, which is that Bitcoin right now is in a very, very interesting setup that we've actually seen before already. If we take a look at this, call it like this horizontal price level, for example, and if we take a look at this area as well, what we saw previously was Bitcoin finding a ceiling at the same place, nicely equally spaced out, and then finding a floor nicely equally spaced out, but that second floor was actually what led to the massive breakout. So it's very interesting how Bitcoin is almost forming a bit of a fractal here in similar circumstances, and a lot of it lines up, by the way. I mean, we've got this downtrend followed by a nice kind of move up in the middle, and then the downtrend continues. So here's the same thing, that nice move in the middle, downtrend continues. There are a lot of similarities. You can play around with this yourself. And one of the reasons I'm pointing this out to you, because generally this isn't reliable, as a form of analysis. But one of the reasons I'm pointing this out to you is because, first of all, I could be wrong. But second of all, Bitcoin with fractals, if it displays similar characteristics and similar fractals within the same market cycle, that is really important to me. That's going to catch my attention as somebody that eats, sleeps, breathes, shits Bitcoin. And I'm going to, consider that could actually be worth something to take into account. So not necessarily the most important metric for me to be looking at personally, but you might consider fractals to be more important than I do. And that's completely fine, obviously. So I figure that's worth pointing out, but at the same time, Bitcoin's most important area of support by far on this chart is going to be this 30K level. And before we get there, we could easily spike up to levels like 46, 48K, right? I mean, if you take a look at this liquidity graph down here, when Bitcoin came down to the $38,000 level, it actually wicked down to 26K, which was the very bottom of this VPVR spike, and then it came back up, right? So it's totally possible that if we're going to do the reverse right now, we would wick up over here, and then potentially drop back down. Either way, I think we're due to drop back down, because I just don't see this as being the kind of energy we had in late 2020 or early 2021, where we are just relentlessly setting brand new all-time highs constantly. I just don't see us being in that particular kind of phase in the market right now, and instead, to me, this is just a cry of relief after 7 months of trading down, which came after a year of trending. 7 months of trading sideways, which came after a year of trending down. I actually think that this is very typical, very predictable price action that you must expect if the market has fucked you for this long with price and for this long with time. Well, yeah, shit. Naturally, you're going to have an explosive reaction after that, but that doesn't mean that you're in a brand new paradigm and we're now in the future of finance again or anything like that. It just means that we are reacting to a very long period of consolidation, which came after a very long period of a downtrend. And obviously, this whole downtrend and this whole consolidation was only a reaction of the price action that came before it. When you start visualizing the market like this, instead of the way you want it to go because you have a vested interest, you're suddenly going to become much more realistic and much less disappointed with what ends up happening. Because reality as a trader, reality in these markets is way more boring than you would want it to be. And as soon as you can grow the fuck up and face that reality, you're going to start to be a lot less disappointed with what's going on, because you're going to start to expect this kind of stuff to happen. And by extension, you're going to be expecting realistic things to happen. So that is really, really important. critical support down here at $30,000. And what's really interesting is that if we do end up falling down here, we will end up losing our 618 Fibonacci level, which sits at about $32,000. Now, this is the thing. There are some really important Fibonacci levels and really important price levels in general scattered throughout this $30,000 level. We have the $36,000 level, the $32,000 level, the $30,000 level, just to name a few. To me, these are the three key areas. There are more, and we can go into that, and we've definitely spoken about them already on this YouTube channel, but those are the key areas to me. There are other areas that are still super important, like 38K, but by that point, we're just listing every $1,000 increment for the price. So, I don't want to get, too far in that direction. But what I do want to do is just look at important things like these Fibonacci's, because I think that they're very interesting. 618s are where you want to see the price bouncing off of. And 32 makes a lot of sense. You can definitely make a case for a $32,000 Bitcoin. It is just above some of these highs that we set throughout summer of this year. And, it also just makes a lot of sense. It would overshoot this block of support that we may or may not have. We're probably going to have a little bit of support down here. It would overshoot this. So, anybody that had longs built over here is going to get stopped out down here. And then equally the other side, 30K makes a lot of sense too, because, we've got a lot of support built over here. In fact, less than that, like 28K makes a lot of sense because a lot of longs are probably going to be over here, right? So if the price were to come down here, well, who's to say it doesn't spike down here very quickly and then come back up? To me, that's actually one of the outcomes that would make the most sense in this market, to be honest with you guys. So, that is definitely something that I would be open to seeing. And the big thing that this actually opens us up into, and the reason that I wanted to discuss this big, potentially quite scary price target with you guys that I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, is that if we start pulling off something like that, then we're actually going to find ourselves in a situation where the reaction to our current uptrend is going to be so fierce and so negative that we could end up finding ourselves at ridiculously low price levels, but it wouldn't even be that bad. Let me tell you why. So previously, what we did was something very similar. We had this massive bearish trend throughout 2018. Bitcoin traded sideways at 6K, fell down to 3. Your boy was I was still here in the space back then. I traded this down, made 60% on the way down. I traded this up, made 360% on the way up, because I'm always improving, you know me, and just made money in both ways, which is absolutely fantastic in this market. VIP was still running, you guys, and VIP still knew what was going on. You guys on YouTube knew what was going on. I've always been giving you guys my analysis publicly. Super happy about that. Another similarity though, because what happened was we had that massive bottom and then a really big reaction rally up. So look at this massive bottom, a really big reaction rally up. Another similarity is that we hit the top of our weekly Ichimoku resistance cloud, this red cloud right here. We hit the top of it and we kind of floated at the top. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. Now, it's too early to say we're floating at the top, right? It's only been 3 weeks. So admittedly, not that long. But we have started to form similar setups at similar stages of our indicators, right? Similar points of our indicators. We have a massive weekly resistance cloud after a massive downtrend where we've broken up and had a massive uptrend. I mean, it's all the same setup. And if Bitcoin were to do the same thing right now, well, that led to the 2020 Black Swan event of COVID. And, Black Swan could be absolutely anything. It could be the next fucking presidential election in the US, or really anything at all. That, if it happens again, could put Bitcoin back down at about $18,000. And I don't necessarily think this is going to happen, but hear me out. This next chart is going to make a lot of sense. This is actually very typical in 100% of Bitcoin's previous bear markets. In 100% of Bitcoin's previous bear markets, going all the way back to 2011, Bitcoin has done the same thing. We have formed massive double bottoms and then rallied up from them. A massive double bottom and then rallied up. A massive double bottom. This is the one we were just looking at. We were just looking at this low right here is this low right here. We have consistently set major double bottoms before the real bull market kicked off. And fortunately for us, it could come pretty quickly. It's not like we have to wait an entire year in purgatory for that to happen. It could end up coming fairly quickly. And if Bitcoin were to do the same thing now, then the only thing that we're betting on is that Bitcoin does the same thing that it did 100% of the time before. It's not that unreasonable to me. And at the same time, an $18,000 Bitcoin price is going to need some seriously bearish shit to happen. It's going to require things like an ETF rejection. It's going to require a bunch of other nasty stuff happening to the market. And it doesn't really matter. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that while you're jumping around in fucking circles, excited and celebrating that your shitcoins have made you money, the people that manipulate news headlines that you probably think are on your side or some bullshit over these last few weeks have not been dropping bearish headlines, but they are always locked and loaded, ready to go. If you've got anything beyond a peanut-sized brain, you will understand that the media and the space in crypto, especially for fuck's sakes, is extremely heavily manipulated, and we just haven't had a bearish narrative in the space for a while. But I'll tell you what, guys, if you're not sleeping under a rock, if you're paying attention to a YouTube channel like this one right here, you are going to know that the S&P 500 has rallied from a major low that we were actually expecting as support up by 16% in 2 months straight without a pullback to its all-time high. The S&P 500 has rallied up from a major support level to its all-time high in one leg with no retracement for 60 fucking days straight. This is an index. This is a major index for the United States. It is not reasonable to expect such a massive move up before we even clear the all-time high without even having a single retracement on the way there. We had a very nice retracement here. S&P 500 traveled up by 20% and then had a nice big correction that we were also expecting. We are definitely due for something like that now just because we're at the all-time high. Now, that doesn't mean it has to cut deep. I'd be happy if it comes down here. We find support off this high. We find support off this high and some of the consolidation over here. It would be super healthy, and then we fucking send it. That is enough. The S&P 500 isn't necessarily heavily manipulated. It does move in pretty sensible ways, and that's why I love BingX, which is also linked in the description down below. BingX and CoinW are both non-KYC exchanges, and they both offer you very, very interesting bonuses. BingX, which allows you to trade the S&P 500 and stocks like Tesla and Apple, will give you over $100,000 in bonuses, and CoinW, which also does not require KYC, will just give you $50 for free to trade with right when you open up an account. You don't need to do anything else. You don't even need to make a deposit. Just open up a futures account using my link, and you will get $50 for free to trade with. You can leverage that any way you like, and you can throw that anywhere you like, and any of the profits are yours to keep. All of that in conjunction with Bybit's free $500 position. This is a big deal for Bybit. Bybit is a big exchange. Big exchanges do not typically run such good campaigns. They're giving you a free $500 Solana position right here. Bybit, typically considered number 2 right behind Binance. If you, like me, do not trust or like Binance, especially after the recent drama, this is a great alternative for you guys to check out. So super, super cool stuff there. Well worth taking a look at. But the S&P 500, like I said, crucial reversal point. The narratives have not been bearish. Everybody has been super bullish. The fear and greed index has been reflecting this for a very long time. I mean, to me, it's the classic setup. Fucking everybody and their grandmother thinks that just because a few altcoins are pumping because Bitcoin's down by 1% on the Bitcoin dominance, or 2% at max, everybody thinks that it's just altcoin season and shit like that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, really, what's going on here is you're underwater by like 80% on your shitcoin bag, and now your minus 80% loss has turned into a minus 65% or minus 70% loss, and you think that everything in the world is perfect again. It's just not how it works, bro. There's still a long way to go, and all we've done is retrace a little bit of that, potentially on our way down to a much bigger correction. Now, in line with the S&P 500, something else which is really important to look at, and one of the key reasons we're already seeing this happening in the market, in my opinion, is the dollar finally starting to reverse as well. The dollar has fallen from incredible heights, of course, relative to its movements usually, down to a low of about 100 on this dollar index. And one of the things I've gone ahead and done on this chart to really illustrate something extremely clearly to you is I've actually put some beautiful vertical lines right here. And what I want to do with these vertical lines is actually put the same thing on the Bitcoin chart just to help you guys open your eyes a little bit. This is something I was doing with my analyst because he mentioned to me, I don't really think that the dollar is important for Bitcoin anymore. And I said, I don't know, man, take a look at this chart. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think I can find it. So we're just going to roll with any chart. It doesn't really matter. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at this on the daily time frame, right? And I'm just going to take the same vertical lines, and I'm going to put them on Bitcoin. All right, so bear with me, take a look at this. So the first line right here, 1st of June, let's throw this one on. 1st of June, bam, right there. This doesn't look right already. One sec. Yeah, no, this is right. The second one, 14th of July, let's throw that one on. The third one, what was this, 4th of October, let's throw the 4th of October on, bam, right there. And the 28th of December, so basically today, just to make things easy to visualize. And one of the key things I want to draw your attention to is this first one right here. Now you can look at both charts and both of them will tell you the same thing. When the dollar started to finally reverse and start trending down from its high, that is precisely when Bitcoin started to rally up. It is unequivocally clear. It is not open for debate. When the dollar got weaker, Bitcoin got stronger, and not by a little bit. Now, previously, before that, when the dollar started to get strong, when the dollar punched in a low and it started to trend upward, look at what happened to Bitcoin. It precisely marked the day that Bitcoin topped out, and it was Bitcoin's top up to that point, and it marked the beginning of Bitcoin's downtrend for the next couple of months. A big deal. From July to October, we were more or less in a small downtrend here, while the dollar was gaining a lot of strength. And of course, before that, we had the dollar dropping, and that was the exact time frame that Bitcoin was pumping up. And we can keep going back. This is the same thing that's been going on all throughout history for these assets. I mean, it is just absolutely perfect. The dollar starts trending down, Bitcoin starts moving up. I mean, it's just so obvious that this is exactly how it works. Look at this. The dollar bottoms out and the dollar starts rallying up in this move here, and look at the right hand side of the screen. When the dollar is moving up, Bitcoin is moving down. We can go further back. I mean, this can keep going for a really long time. Let's look at the dollar's major high right here. What does that coincide with for Bitcoin? Actually, this was the one exception for Bitcoin. This is actually the one exception for Bitcoin because this was the FTX drama. So FTX kind of messed this up, but the same thing kind of sticks anyway. If we take a look at the dollar a little bit afterwards, like when the drop really started for the dollar, this is where the dollar really started to get weak. And this kind of patch right here, this was where Bitcoin started to pump up. So even when it's not perfect, the same thing still applies. I mean, you can't deny it. When the dollar is weak, Bitcoin is strong. When the dollar is strong, Bitcoin is weak. And I don't know, you tell me, Ro, what do you think is going to happen? It could be that the dollar loses this area because we've tested it too many times, and then, kiss this shit goodbye. You're going to be so happy that you're in the crypto space right now. You're going to be thanking yourself. The model that you're going to be dating in 3 months will be thanking you when you're on your yacht. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. You're going to have the best time of your life. You're finally going to have your family. You're going to get your ex-wife back. It's going to be fantastic. You'll be able to get your car back from the repo garage. It's going to be absolutely amazing. You might even be able to buy your business partner out again as well. I mean, you're going to have a great time. But if not, and if the dollar actually uses an incredibly strong psychologically charged area of support to bounce up even a little bit, that could actually cause some massive problems. It already lines up for the S&P 500. It already lines up for Bitcoin. It already lines up with the fact that every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every idiot in the market thinks that we're still pumping up just because altcoins have started to rally. I mean, look, I'm reading Market Wizards. It's linked in the description down below, and it's a book that I swear by. It's a book that I live by, and I actually genuinely owe my life to it because I wouldn't be the trader I am without it. Super cool book. It's an audio book, whatever. You can check it out, linked in the description. $7, best $7 you'll ever spend. And there is an interview, I believe it's with Paul Tudor Jones in that book. He was a legendary trader. And it might not be him, it might be somebody else. But in short, what happened was this guy actually had a stunning, spectacular career as a trader. I mean, he was somebody that other traders in that book looked up to and were amazed by. And his trading career took a sour turn over the last couple of years. And when he was asked, would you do the same thing again? If you were in the same position again right now, would you take the same trades? What he said struck me. It was very powerful and it really resonated with me. I've read this book many times and I'm reading it again right now. And what he said was, even though I lost money on those trades, I would make the same decisions again because I would not want to be on the other side of those decisions. And that is a really, really important thing to me to keep in mind, because it means that you are operating from a place of principles. And if you don't have principles, then what the fuck do you have as a trader? If you don't have principles, you have hope and a gambling addiction. Let's be real about what you're actually working with here. So principles are incredibly important, which is to say that it doesn't matter if I'm wrong. I know that my reasoning is sound, right? I'm using reasoning that makes a lot of sense. I'm using reasoning that is quite sensible, and that's actually still bullish, right? I mean, if you see past the immediate pain I'm talking about here, it's actually quite healthy for the market. It's actually what we were expecting back when we were down at, $30,000, $20,000, or whatever the case may have been. We were saying that Bitcoin can get up to like 40K, and then it's going to have to retrace down to around 30. And, we're just filling in that prophecy right now. And that's all to say that if this does end up going wrong, if the dollar off this critical level just doesn't end up bouncing for whatever reason, that doesn't mean the analysis is bad. It's just part of the game, knowing that as a trader. And this is ultimately what it boils down to. You guys can listen to whoever you like. You can follow whoever you like on Twitter. As long as you're seeing actual real results from traders that are actually putting serious money in. I mean, this was not a trade where I put $500 into a buy bid position because I wanted to show you a good P&L screenshot. I don't give a fuck about that. I've actually made hundreds of thousands of dollars trading this market, with just one single position. To be able to pull that off, you've got to be somebody that actually has real skin in the game, that has actually been around for a really long time. And from that, what I can say with absolute certainty is it doesn't actually matter what the outcome of your decision is. It matters more if your reasoning was sound. I don't care if a certain decision would lose me money, as long as I can say that I would rather not be on the opposite side of that decision. That is really, really important to me. I'm actually hiring an analyst right now. We are expanding the team. I am specifically looking for an analyst that can cover US time zones or Japan, Australia, like around there. Basically the main time zones that I don't get when I'm, and it's not a problem because I trade a little bit longer term, right? So I'm planning my trades days in advance. I mean, time zones don't matter to me. I'm going to see everything. I'm going to be able to trade everything I want to trade. But still, I do want that extra pair of eyes anyway. And so I am hiring for that. If you are an analyst, and specifically if you carry a trading journal, I would love to hear from you. If you are looking for some paid work, you can reach out to me by following this link in the description down below, and just message me directly. Tell me that you're interested in the paid analysis work. Tell me that you've got a trading journal. Share whatever you are comfortable sharing with me. I am definitely interested in speaking to you. And one of the key things that those of you who have reached out to me already have heard is I don't care if you're making money or not. I care if your reasoning is sound. Now, eventually, we're going to get to the part where I want to see, look, are you actually a profitable trader? Can you actually make money? That's important. What's much more important to me is, do you follow a good process? Are you a trader that can be built on, that can learn, that is willing to learn, that is actively learning, that is learning from your own self, that I can teach if I need to? Maybe you can teach me, but is there that openness to being a student? If you don't have it, I don't want to work with you. And it's not that I don't want to work with you for some bullshit reason. It's purely because I know you're not a good trader if you don't possess those qualities. Whether you want to work for me or not doesn't make a difference. Those are really, really important principles. And like I said, if you don't start with principles as a trader, you have nothing. You have nothing except for hope and a gambling addiction. Ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed this video, a very, very important one, some big macro analysis. This, obviously is still very much open to interpretation. I'd very much love to see Bitcoin do something a little bit more positive, but at this stage, I think there are too many things going against it, and I think that the market is just blind to it. So as long as that's the case, and especially while the market is blind to it, I'm not gonna jump on the same bandwagon as everybody else. And that's why I have this opinion that I'm sharing with you guys right now. If we do end up getting back above 40K, 44K, then I would be looking for something like this. And this is where I would start to get bullish again, as if we break out and backtest. Until and unless that happens, for me, it's just looking like a bigger probability of dropping down into some of our lower price areas for support. So I'll come back at you guys with more analysis as the market continues to develop. And meanwhile, take advantage of your free Solana position, which is super, super cool, using Bybit with my link down below. And if you already have Bybit or you don't want to use it for whatever reason, CoinW and BingX are great alternatives, and CoinW specifically will be giving you $50 for free to trade with. You can put that anywhere you like, leverage it any way you like, and any profits you generate are yours to keep. And BingX, great for traditional finance markets, Tesla, Apple, S&P 500, really, really cool stuff like that you can trade also with no KYC. Right, guys, I'm out. Hope you've enjoyed this one. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, click the bell, and I'll see you all in the very next one.